A mountain landscape shivering in dry and biting winds. South Korea's Gangwon province is a picture of solitude and wintry majesty. And pine trees like sentinels in the cold guard some of Korea's most sacred mountains and cultural treasures. While Gangwon is the country's least populated province, for the people who do live here, winter is a season to look forward to. A time for introspection through the beauty of religion and art. And a time for indulgence and amusement through the warmth of some of the region's most cherished traditions. Gangwon is home to the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, but beyond the ski slopes and the skating rinks, a centuries-old culture evolves against this backdrop of natural splendor. This is Destination South Korea, Gangwon Province. A sacred ritual dance in the Hall of Stillness and Light. Dancer Song Yong-in performs one of Korean Buddhism's most intricate arts. An expression of serenity and transcendence. A few hours outside of frenetic Seoul, a snowy oasis of tranquility. Here, at the Wujongsa Temple, the austerity of this faith is amplified by the solitude of this rugged mountainscape. Founded in the 7th century, ravaged by war and then rebuilt, this temple complex lies at the heart of Korean spirituality.
여기에 부처님의 머리뼈 사리를
About 10 kilometers away from Wujongsa, there's an area where a piece of Buddha's skull is enshrined. That might make Wujongsa the most sacred place for Korean Buddhism.
Teo Jong-yam has served as Wujongsa's head monk for the past 14 years. He oversees a network of more than 60 temples in the area. At its center, an octagonal 9-tiered stone pagoda. A statue of an enlightened being known as Bodhisattva kneels before it and makes an offering. Surrounding the temple grounds, a 1,000-year-old forest of fir trees, huddled on the eastern slopes of the holy Ode Mountain. Against this backdrop of nature and faith, the head monk says lay people can begin to understand daily life here by taking part in the temple stay program.
불교는 수행을 통해서
The goal of Buddhism is to bring wisdom and mercy to this world through the truth found in training. Ordinary people can come to Wujongsa and heal their minds through the meditation practice. All culture of healing flourishes here.
이런 내용을 가지고 있습니다.
In the newly constructed meditation hall, temple stay visitors gather to practice stillness and silence. This monk is guiding the meditation. He patrols the hall for any signs of distractedness. And when he finds it, a light rub of his bamboo stick on the shoulder, followed by this. The strikes are not meant to cause pain, but it's an important part of the training at Wujongsa. A tool to refocus the mind by testing the tolerance of the body. At Wujongsa, even an activity as simple as eating requires concentration and discipline. In complete silence, the temple stay visitors partake in the formal monastic meal, Obaro Gongyang.
그 공양의 의미를 갖다 깊게 느끼면서 이것이
In the monastic meal, you reflect on the food you're eating and on the efforts that it took to bring just one grain of rice to you. You understand how many people needed to work together and the deep relationship that connects them. Right now, the modern culture is changing so rapidly, and we're facing a time where it's difficult for our values to keep up with the change. With Buddhism, I think our role is to try and heal the minds troubled by these changes.
이해하게 되고
Wujongsa itself is not immune to change. But throughout its 1,400-year history, the temple has remained a refuge for contemplation. 60 kilometers away from the temple are more signs of nature's influence on the human imagination. The Taebaek Mountains, skirting the eastern edge of the Korean peninsula and draped in forest. Amidst these dramatic vistas, a show of whimsy in the coastal city of Gangwon.
Gangwon is known for its beautiful mountains and sea. After we bought this land, we wanted to find a way to maximize the beauty of the place. So that's why we decided to transform the entire area into a space for art. The name Gangwon means river and hills. So I wanted to make a space where I'm drawing nature into every room.
Artist couple Choi Ok-young and Park Shin-jong designed all 61 acres of Hasler Art World, from the sculpture park to colourful main building. Opened to the public in 2003, Hasler's collection of paintings, sculptures and installation art features the work of local artists from Gangwon province. One exhibit in particular, the Pinocchio Gallery, stems from Choi's fascination with lying.
Lying itself starts with creativity, and every lie has a story. I wanted to create a space where today's artists can elaborate on the meaning of the lies that we tell ourselves. This is the work of a Korean artist called Lee Sung-hun. He made this huge wooden sculpture specifically for the Pinocchio Gallery at Hasler. You can move all parts of the sculpture, like this. The artist was trying to make the connection between the idea of having an open heart and the story of Pinocchio. That's how he made this piece that's perfectly suitable for this space.
Originally from Gangwon, Choi says he draws inspiration from one of his hometown's most famous daughters. Shimza In-dang, an artist from the 16th century and the first woman to appear on a South Korean banknote.
Shin Sa-in-dang is an artist who spiritually represents Gangwon. Back in her time when society was still very conservative, she used art to express her inner self.
As president and CEO, Park Shin-jong says she wants Hasler to rival the art hubs of Europe and America.
With Hasler, I dream of a new artistic society. I wanted to create a place for foreign artists to come visit, rather than having local artists go overseas.
More than a museum, Hasler is also a hotel. 24 rooms, each designed with different concepts, but unified by a sweeping ocean view and beds designed to resemble a mother's womb.
It's common for a hotel to have artwork, but it's more unusual to have an artist design the entire space. We wanted everything in our hotel rooms, like the furniture and props, to reflect a harmony between nature, people and art.
Whereas other hotels are about sleeping and comfort, we wanted to focus on the aesthetics of our hotel. We purposely made the space uncomfortable. Since your own house is perhaps the most comfortable place, we thought it'd be nice for people who come all this way to experience something different, to take comfort from the visuals of the space itself.
Hasler is the fulfillment of a lifelong dream for the artist couple. It's a never-unfolding dream, a vision of a place where both art and nature surround you, and where the mountains are adorned with fantasy. Chuncheon, the riverside capital of Gangwon province in South Korea. The city is perhaps best known for a song about a young girl waiting for a lover. And this, Takkaibi, a fiery treat popular during the winter, and a beautiful mess with a story to tell.
No one forgets June 25th, 1950.
The Battle of Pyeongchang signaled the start of the Korean War. Much of the city was destroyed as a result.
South Korean villages awoke to a world suddenly filled with noise and plague.
After the war, chicken farms became the livelihood of people who were poor and almost begging on the street. There was agony and pain even after the conflict was over.
With chicken as a cheap and widespread source of protein, coupled with a cabbage farmed in the mountains of Gangwon, Takkaibi, literally chicken ribs, was ready for its debut.
The story of takgalbi started from a couple who were running a popular pork restaurant in the 1960s. One day, they ran out of pork and decided to use chicken, which was cheaper and more abundant. They stir-fried the chicken in the same way as the pork, and the dish was a hit. Soon, the couple ran out of that as well. Other people started selling the same dish, one after another, and eventually there were many takgalbi restaurants in Chuncheon.
Generous portions, affordable and easily shared. Takkaibi was a fast favorite among soldiers and students on a budget, earning it the nickname Commoner's Galbi. Myeongdong Takkaibi Street in Chuncheon is filled with dozens of restaurants paying homage to the dish.
I am the second generation to run this restaurant. Our restaurant's takgalbi is light and not too spicy, which is something that we're proud of.
At her restaurant, Choi prepares a takkaibi with cabbage, rice cake, sweet potato and marinated chicken, all topped with Korean chili paste and scallion. The fresh ingredients are then stir-fried on a large cast-iron pan that's built into the communal table.
Part of the fun is cooking with your family. When you just have the meat by itself, you can enjoy the taste and tenderness of the chicken. But when you wrap the meat in the lettuce and perilla leaf, the taste of the vegetables and the meat come together to create a new taste. I would describe it as refreshing. It's another way to enjoy the takgalbi. I think of takgalbi as my own history. My parents started this restaurant, handed it to me, and now my son will run this place after me. I have so much pride in takgalbi. Every restaurant in this historic alley contributes its own special taste to the dish.
Since its creation more than 50 years ago, takkaibi's taste and reputation have spread far beyond Chuncheon to the rest of South Korea.
I hope people don't come to Chuncheon just to eat takgalbi without understanding its history. I hope people come here and learn that Chuncheon's iconic dish, takgalbi, was created out of the pain that people carried after the war. This is a local food that has a history and a story.
On the other side of Gangwon province, a more recent specialty to warm up with. Anmok Beach on the windswept east coast of South Korea. Visitors, both feathered and furred, are here to enjoy the winter surf. Along this sandy stretch of the city of Gangneung brews an unlikely love affair.
In the 80s and 90s, young lovers would come to this secluded beach and buy coffee from the vending machine here. They would hold hands, drink coffee, and that's how romantic coffee culture was born in Gangneung.
Lee Jong-duk heads up the Gangneung Culture and Arts Foundation. He says that the beach's image as a hotspot for dates soon attracted a bevy of coffee shops and roasteries. 50, by his estimation, in this area alone.
This street has become even more famous, and most of the coffee shops are roasting their own beans. So many lovers still come to this street.
In a matter of decades, Gangneung became the center of coffee culture in South Korea, where grabbing a hot beverage means socializing with friends and warming up. Ask anyone to point out the man responsible for Gangwon's Java boom, and they might tell you to meet Kim Jong-duk for some single-origin hand-drip coffee at his all-in-one factory, Terra Rosa.
When I first started in the coffee business, there weren't so many coffee shops in Gangwon. Just vending machine coffee was the trend back then. I was shocked by how behind Korea's coffee culture was compared with other countries.
A former banker, Kim says it's part of his mission to spread the work on specialty coffee and to cultivate a sense of art and lifestyle in his cafes. In other words, stressing the culture in coffee culture.
At
Terra Rosa Coffee, you can experience the entire coffee process. You can see how coffee trees grow, how the beans are roasted, how the coffee itself is extracted, and how people come here to enjoy themselves.
With branches across South Korea, from Seoul to Busan, the homegrown brand is expanding overseas as well. But Kim says he wants the flagship location right here in Gangwon to leave the biggest impression.
For travelers today, sightseeing is obviously important. But it's also the things like the food you eat and the coffee you enjoy that give you true happiness. I want people to form an attachment with Gangwon and remember that the coffee there was really nice and there was something amazing about it.
In the Korean city of coffee, cold brews and lattes are perking up a sleepy seaside town and adding a bit of romance to it as well. Pyeongchang in the winter is a place of snowy revelry and frigid landscapes. At an average elevation of 750 meters and temperatures dropping as low as -10 degrees, this is one of the coldest regions in all of South Korea. But that doesn't stop people from flocking to the frozen Udaechon stream and enjoying one of the country's most beloved wintertime activities, ice fishing. In preparation for the fishing bonanza, some 3,800 holes are drilled into an 80-acre stretch of the frozen river. Throughout the year, the cold and clear waters of Pyeongchang provide the ideal conditions for raising trout. Between December and February, those farm-raised trout are released through the holes drilled into the frozen river. This year, more than 14 centimeters thick. Then, anglers of all ages drop their colourful lures into the same holes and wait.
Catching trout, cooking it and enjoying it with your family. That's what the Trout Festival is all about.
The Pyeongchang Trout Festival is in its 11th year. Committee head Kim Yong-koo said that this year he's hoping to clear 1 million visitors.
We started with almost nothing in 2007 and have always relied on volunteers from the community. Being able to support the local trout farmers is what I'm most proud of.
Everyone has their own technique and tools for the mission at hand. Some more sophisticated than others. Many lie on their stomachs, attempting to peer into the icy depths of their quarry, while others get bored fairly quickly. For the more deluxe and sheltered experience, colourful tents are available for rent. Otherwise, it's braving the open ice and crowds. 36-year-old Im Jong-sok has been going to the Trout Festival for just 2 years, but he's developed a knack for luring his speckled prey. Less than a minute after casting his bait, Im feels a telltale tug on his rod. Seems he's caught a beauty. Im takes his catch to the nearby restaurant, where the trout is cleaned and prepared for the grill. Successful fishermen and women can also elect to have their trout raw as sashimi. After the fish cooks for some 20 minutes in a wood-fired oven, Im shares his ice fishing secret.
아까 여기 있는 이 빙어를 흉내낸
The lure I use resembles a small ice fish. The trout tend to approach weaker prey, so it's important to imitate an ice fish that's sick. If I move the lure too quickly, the trout won't take the bait.
Trout can also be purchased directly from the restaurant, for festival goers without the luck, patience or skill of someone like Im. This year, 150 tons of fish were raised for the Pyeongchang Trout Festival.
원래 이제 저희 지역에는요.
Farming is this area's main industry. So in the winter, for about 3 to 4 months, people have a lot of time on their hands. That's why the Trout Festival is such a joy for the local community.
사람들도 여유도 많고.
The main event of the festival takes place not on the ice, but off it, in this pool of freezing water, where buckets full of trout are released. Dozens of orange-clad contestants have just a minute and a half to catch as many trout as they can, with their bare hands.
개인적으로 좋아하는 거는 맨손 체험이 아주.
My favorite thing about the festival is the bare-handed fishing. It's a fantastic feeling to go out into the icy water and catch a trout with your hands.
그 느낌은 정말로.
A flurry of activity in an otherwise quiet part of South Korea. Young and old, bundled up and in pursuit of some winter fun. And perhaps some lunch too. Gangwon province, undiscovered and filled with life. By embracing the challenges and the joys of winter, Gangwon province is perhaps at its best in the cold.